In Dubai, I mean, literally this table, it's 1 out of 6 people over here that is a UAE national. So our population is actually skewed.
One of the first sentences he taught me is "Ana ajmal bant fil alam," which translates to "I'm the most beautiful girl in the world."
Oh, how about that for an injection of positivity? That is a whole journey in a mouthful.
That's why it doesn't leave the menu.
Dubai was founded in 1833, then just a tiny little fishing village on the edge of the desert. Simply a resting place for Bedouins.
Fast forward nearly 200 years and Dubai is a jewel in the Arabian Peninsula and one of the 7 Emirates of the UAE, famous around the world as the go-to luxury tourist destination. Home to more 5-star hotels than anywhere else on the planet, where locals once dive for pearls, they now shop in luxury malls and dine in the finest Michelin star restaurants. But if you think you know Dubai, that this is all the city is about, then I have news for you. I'm Kate Garraway, and in this series, I'm going to meet people that will open your eyes and your mind to another Dubai, the one that is unheard, to show you what this city and its residents are all about. A place where East meets West, where women can and do lead the way, where science is saving resources and selflessness is saving lives. We'll meet people who want to turn what you think about this city on its head and tell a totally different story about Dubai and its amazing people. Over the next 8 episodes, I'm going to share the things that make this unique city what it is.
But there's only one place I want to start this series, and that's with the true beating heart of any city or community, its people. And there are fewer places on the planet more suited to the term melting pot than Dubai. This is a city where East truly meets West and then live together, where local Emiratis and expats work together, set up businesses together, go to school together, and crucially form lifelong friendships.
With a population exceeding 3 million, it stands as the most populous city in the UAE. Of this vast number, only about 15% are local Emiratis, leaving a substantial 85% composed of individuals from various international backgrounds.
This cultural amalgamation has given rise to a dynamic and artistic centre, Al Sakal Avenue. It's where some of Dubai's most imaginative and creative minds come together to share inspiration.
Transforming industrial warehouses into cafes, galleries and studios, this eclectic neighbourhood has become a haven for artists and musicians worldwide, fostering a rich blend of creative expression and cultures. I'm meeting Ahmed Kazim and Justin Joseph, who created Project Chaiwala, a brand that celebrates the multicultural heritage of Dubai with its handcrafted blends of chai. Their first cafe is in Cinema Akil, the city's first independent art house cinema.
Hello.
How are
Hi. Now, who's who?
Ahmed.
You're Ahmed, I'm Kate. Lovely
Nice
to meet you.
you.
Justin,
Nice
Justin, good to meet you too. So this is your place?
This is our place.
Right, well, I better have something first of all, haven't I?
Well, you got to start with some chai.
I need some chai. I think Project Chaiwala, we need some chai,
For
don't
sure.
we?
I think you should start with our signature, which is our in-house recipe.
That sounds like a great place
Yeah,
to start.
we'll get you some signature.
Okay, so some signature
Chai
chai.
wala chai crack masala green tea dati and silvering matcha crack chai crack chai ki la la la.
Oh, that
la,
looks
crack,
good. I want to know what all that was. Thank you very much indeed. Should we go and have a chat?
Let's do it.
Great. Right, we got a selection here.
Here we go.
What have you guys got?
I got jealous, so whatever you got hot, I got cold.
Oh, okay. And which one
And
have
this
you
is the
got?
classic, OG Karat. Yeah,
Classic
I
chai.
stick to the classics. Yeah,
And then this is the signature.
that's our signature.
Right, so what do you put in here, or is it like a trade secret?
That's our secret sauce, secret recipe.
I can taste chocolate in there. There's something chocolatey, isn't there?
It's a bit nostalgic. It reminds
Is it?
people of their childhood. There's some ingredients in there which a lot of people around the world have had when they were kids.
So you two are genuinely friends, aren't you? You're from Dubai,
Yep.
and you have a different path to coming here.
yeah, so I'm originally Indian, but I grew up here. So this is home.
And your family have always lived here.
Yeah, we've always lived here, but
Yeah.
I mean, we always say we're from. Everyone is from Dubai, but which part from the world you're from? I'm saying I'm from Dubai. I'm from the UAE. He says he's from Dubai, but he's originally Indian. That's the way it
Wow.
works over here. Like
Yeah.
everybody's from Dubai.
Everybody's from Dubai.
Yeah.
You don't have that kind of breakdown, which is great, isn't it?
Exactly.
I don't think many people really understand the chai culture and what it really is. And, you know, where is it from your perspective, from India?
It's a beverage that everyone pretty much has. I think it's the most consumed beverage in the world.
Is it?
Black tea is, after water. So everyone knows chai comes from India, but I think there was a lot of British influence in there because they started the tea plantations over there. But now it's like a staple. You know, average person in India would have multiple cups of chai. So obviously, me growing up here, it's part of our household. Like you have chai every day.
And what about for Dubai? Is it really drunk in Dubai as well?
All Arabs drink black tea. Right now, the thing is, if you go to any majlis where people kind of congregate with their friends and family, you always see three things: Arabic coffee, black tea, and tea with milk.
Right.
And we don't know whether it's the influence of the South Asians or it's actually very much intertwined. So, but you see that in every household at any given point of time of the day.
How did you get the idea of Project Chaiwala?
We used to always discuss business ideas, right? Of
Yeah.
what's happening. And then we stumbled upon something that is common between us, but we noticed that there's a big gap in the market. We said, why not Dubai? Why don't you start in Dubai? Number one, it's our hometown, both of us. Secondly, it's open to 100 nationalities. So we said, if we nail it from Dubai, we can go anywhere else around the world.
And I guess as well, it represents what's one of the great things about Dubai in itself, which is it is that brilliant melting pot of cultures, which seems to, you know, produce something really creative. You seem to be able to grab the best of the cultures of your parents, if you come in from elsewhere, and also the culture of Dubai and its history too. I mean, that must have been something that you talked about a lot.
I think it came out naturally because we grew up here, and it was a melting pot, Dubai, right? Like when we grew up, there were just a handful of schools, but a lot of nationalities, so it was very dense in terms of cultural experiences with different people.
So everybody had something different to bring to the party.
Yeah, but then it became like you kind of became a third culture kid.
Right.
That's what we all are. So anyone who grew up in Dubai, we understand each other. You know, because we had shared common experiences.
Yeah.
But you brought whatever you kind of inherited from your parents, like where you originated. But then it became something unique. So for us to bring that to the table was just natural. We're like, okay, we're representing like a new urban brand that represents our culture, the third culture of Dubai.
So do you think there is something special about the energy you get from the way different cultures and everything mix together here?
100%. And it's also inherent in us right now. As he said, we can't explain it, but it exists. I think it's the harmony in culture and the respect the tolerance that the UAE and Dubai has when it comes to different nationalities and different religions and the way you practice or don't practice.
Yeah.
So there is this sense of harmony amongst people. And what we notice as well, as we are today in our age and time, is you host a dinner and you notice that every single person, it's a group of 10, each one is from a different nationality.
Wow.
But there is this common ground between us that somehow Dubai has brought into the table, right?
Yeah. We're in Ramadan at the moment, aren't we? And even that has changed over the years as part of a kind of, maybe more inclusivity, would you phrase it that way? Explain how it was when you were little and how we are now.
So just right now, this is a perfect example, right?
Okay.
So you had your cup of chai.
I did.
And now it was just sunset right now. So I just broke my fast right now in front of you. But you didn't notice that I was fasting probably, right?
Okay, so you
but I have this in
literally
front of
had
me.
your first sip.
Yeah, literally now.
Yeah,
right?
okay.
But that's how it's changed, I think, in a very positive way where, again, goes back to the old point where Dubai has created, or the UAE has created this tolerance where everybody can be around each other with no, as long as there are these fundamental values that we both, as human beings, have, we can have this. It's so peaceful, so easy. We don't have to fight about it. I shouldn't tell you, you shouldn't drink in front of me, by the way. How rude of you to come here and... So that has changed in a very positive way. And then that's just the respect and the harmony that we have from one another from completely different backgrounds, right? So that is, again, I think that's the beauty of Dubai. I think it's actually endless how beautiful it is, but it just happens to be. And I think you're experiencing part of it right now.
Yeah, it's a lovely thing. It's a really lovely thing.
I'm visiting during the holy month of Ramadan, and as day turns to night, they kindly asked me to join them in a late iftar, the breaking of fast meal, with a group of their friends. Waleed, a strength coach and chef, Camelia, a creative producer, and Chelsea, an early years practitioner.
I know you're all from Dubai now, because that's the point. But where does everybody's families come from? Chelsea, what about you?
So I'm from Bristol.
Bristol, right?
Yeah. Hopefully you can't tell because I don't have that much of a southern accent. I think it's managed to dwindle out over the time of being here. Yeah. But yeah, no, from Bristol. I've been here 17 years now.
Have you?
Yeah, 17 years.
So what was it like when you first came here?
Well, obviously massively different. Like the Burj Khalifa and everything else wasn't here. Schooling was a big shock for me because everyone's from like a different nationality. So that was really cool, like getting to know them, but also then figuring out, I think it allows you an opportunity to really find your authentic self without trying to fit in because everyone's so different, which is really cool. So you just embrace everyone's differences and then you accept your own and then you just kind of like roll with it. So I had friends from like all over and we all shared like different humors and everything else like that. So it was really nice. It was a really big learning curve. But yeah, it was different to school in the UK.
Well, yeah, you're right, because nobody stands out because everyone's got slightly different heritage.
Yeah.
So there's no feeling of a group against one or whatever.
Yeah,
you're
exactly,
all just...
100%. Everyone just embraces differences because we're all different. No one's the same.
Yeah. What about you, Camelia?
So I'm Iranian. My parents moved to Dubai in the 80s. So I was born and raised here as well. I just turned 30 2 days ago. So I'm a pure born and bred Dubai kid. And my friends in our group are from Nigeria, Palestine, Sudan, Ireland, Malaysia. Like we're from all over the place. And that's always been like the most exciting thing about living here is that you're exposed to so many different cultures and you all kind of take things from each other to make it your own and you become your own person through that as well.
And then that becomes the Dubai culture.
Yeah,
that kind
that
of
is what it is.
fusion, everything else.
The diversity is what makes it Dubai.
But also, I think it's the tolerance for different cultures always kind of existed. Obviously, you always have one group more than the other, so someone would get bullied more than the rest. But I guess in terms of tolerance of culture, so wherever we go around the world, we're used to seeing this diversity of people. I mean, just like what we are here on the table, literally everyone is from a different nationality, right? And that's very common at our dinner tables, in our houses, amongst our family and friends. You just see literally a plethora of kind of nationalities. And there's that UAE culture that is a common ground amongst us all.
Yeah, amazing. So where have you come from?
I'm from Zanzibar. My dad moved here in the 70s. He came here to play football when football just started. And my mom was flying at the time. So this seemed to be a good spot to kind of be for her to move around as well. I come from a family of 5. So in terms of diversity and meeting people, I've met a lot with all of my brothers and all of the people that have come to the house or we've gone to their houses and that sort of stuff. I think growing up in Dubai, on your point, it gives us an advantage. Irregardless of what country you go, you know how to deal with the people. Because I feel like people come, like if you grew up, for example, in America, let's use America, they don't specifically know how to deal with other cultures because they're so set in their ways. But Dubai gives you this advantage of understanding other cultures and knowing the boundaries that don't necessarily apply to you, but apply to other cultures. Like it's a household name now. To the point that if I say to somebody, I'm from Dubai, they assume Dubai is a country and they forget about the UAE, right? So they're like, oh, you're from Dubai. Well, how's that country like? And I'm like, no, the country is the UAE. It's not Dubai, but like it's such a household name now. Everywhere you go, people know Dubai and they assume that you're of a certain level. Now we'll go back to Zanzibar. If I go to Zanzibar people think I'm like
millionaire.
well off or rich. Yeah. So whenever I leave Zanzibar, they're like, next time come back with a TV, and I'm like, what do you think? We just pick them up off the road.
They're not paved with gold.
Yeah.
When I went to university, like for undergrad in the US in 2005, people used to think like I used to rock up to school on a camel because they don't know Dubai. Like they just thought Middle East.
Yeah.
So now that's completely flipped on its head. Like
now
they're
think you're
thinking
gonna-
Bugatti. Like what color is your Bugatti?
But if I may add to your both your point is that saying the technological advancement that we had, they didn't compromise the culture and religion 100%. Point of view, which is like in every single neighborhood you'd find a mosque. Like they preserved, let's say, the Arabic-speaking language along these festivals or awards that they award, especially in Ramadan. They have the Holy Quran award. During the year, they have the Arabic award, which encompasses the entire Arab countries, right? So it's beautiful how you can advance so much to a point where you have the world's tallest building while your culture is still being preserved, right? And keep in mind, in Dubai, I mean, literally this table, it's 1 out of 6 people over here that is a UAE national. So our population is actually skewed, right? However, the culture is still around. And it's beautiful that you can actually still have those both, because you don't want to forget your heritage and your culture, etc. And somehow it's pushed on to the expats that live in the country as well, and they respect it and they preserve it with you as well. And that's, I think, is the charm of Dubai, where they find the respect to also preserve your heritage and culture, right?
You know why? I think it boils down to the fact that a lot of your culture, and I think a lot of this region's culture, is community values.
Yeah.
And I think that they really put that forward, is that you've got to think for the people within your community. You've got to be a lot more selfless. You've got to be a lot more considerate. And I think in some ways we've lost that, like where I'm from, I think we've lost that a little bit. And whereas here, it's not forced upon you. It just, like you said, it's kind of like an energy. It's just kind of like something that you adjust to, or like you just embrace. I don't know how to explain it. But you do that, and then it does make you more considerate. It does make you more empathetic. It does make you all of these really positive characteristics. It does heighten them within yourself, and I like that.
Especially in Ramadan. So I have actually a friend that's originally from Zanzibar or Tanzania, and lived in New York, born and raised in New York. And she moved to Dubai. And in Ramadan, it's common that you, whatever you cook, you give it to your neighbors as well. So now she doesn't even need to cook for Ramadan. She's like, my neighbors just give me all the food, right? So she's kind of embraced that as well, right? She also wears the abaya when she goes out. It's just part of, I guess, like encompassing the culture of the UAE and this door-to-door kind of relationship with your neighbors, wherever it might be. And it could be with any religion. It doesn't mean, okay, if they're non-Muslims or if they're non-Arab, we're not going to give it to them. It's whoever's on my strip, like all these stores, I'm going to give them a piece of my pie, right? That's how it is over here. I don't think it's magical. It's just not like you pop in Dubai, oh, you embrace all cultures. I think we built this throughout time.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
So if you look at us like 15 years ago, we're not the same as we are.
But there's this thing when you meet someone and you figure out you grew up in Dubai, you have this like instant connection. You're like, okay, I know, you know.
We're all a bunch of third culture
We're
kids.
a bunch of third culture kids, and there's almost like a bond, you know.
Yes,
Okay, I understand what you understand me. It's unspoken, but it's there.
Coming here to Al Sakal Avenue has been such an eye-opener for me, to be honest. It's not what I expected from Dubai. It's not old school, traditional, like the old part that you imagine must exist. And it's also not bits I've seen before, which is the big hotels, the glamour, the wealth. It's just this really kind of magical mix where you can see that the people who come here, who've grown up here, seem to have just been inspired by their family's culture from where they came from. But also something kind of chemical happens when all these different cultures mix together. It's just wonderful, and it's a totally different vibe than I would have imagined existed in Dubai.
After a great evening yesterday, today I'm on my way to meet Isabel Al Bahoul.
She's an English expat, she's an OBE, she's a CEO and a cultural icon of the UAE. And she's been living here in Dubai for 56 years. Isabel, it's so fantastic to meet you. So let's go from the beginning, shall we? What first brought you here to Dubai?
So I was born and grew up in Cambridge, and an acquaintance introduced me to the person who would become my future husband, who was in Cambridge studying English. It actually happened at my home. So a friend was staying with me, and she knew a friend of my husband's. And so my mother said, look, you know, these poor young men, they probably would enjoy a lovely meal. That was my mother to a T. He came with the friend, and that was the first time we met. And there was a photograph.
Did you like him straight away?
I think there was definitely a mutual attraction. But before he actually saw me, I was busy in the kitchen with my friend, finishing off this meal, and we were having fits of laughter and things like that. And he saw a photograph of me. It was a sort of an official photograph that my father had sort of taken, and he saw that and he thought, gosh, I'm in love with her. So he says.
Does he?
So he says, before he actually even set eyes on me. So that was lovely. And I think we just had the right chemistry, you know, that we just fell in love. And he...
No, you look very young, but you're going to have to put some dates on this to people to understand. We're
Yes.
talking when?
This was 1967.
So 1967.
It was when we met.
Yeah.
And then...
So
yes.
you must have looked beautiful, but also extraordinary to him from where he'd come from.
Very, very different. So I had the Vidal Sassoon haircut, which you may remember.
I remember.
Yeah,
I
the
remember.
very
Sharp, geometric
yes,
bod.
yeah. And my husband is very handsome, you know, and, you know, apart from that, I think there was a meeting of minds, strangely. There was a meeting of minds. I couldn't speak very much Arabic. I couldn't speak any Arabic. So one of the first sentences he taught me is "Ana ajmal bent fil alam," which translates to "I'm the most beautiful girl in the world."
Oh, how about that for an injection of positivity?
What a ridiculous thing to teach me. I mean, you know, this was something that no one was... would not come in useful at all.
Yeah, you wanted please, thank you,
exactly.
where is the nearest, whatever.
I think it was a joke. He was just... Anyway, so those are the kind of things that I remember. They were the first Arabic words I learned.
So you met, you fell in love, it was a meeting of minds. He was very handsome. You were apparently the most beautiful girl in the world.
According to him.
According
That's
to
all that
him, which is
mattered.
very handy. As time went on, when did it come that he said, come with me back to my homeland?
He didn't. So he had to come back to start his job. He'd also gone to police college when he was in London. He was a policeman, and he'd done his degree in Cairo. And this was, you know, once his English was good enough, he did that. Then he had to come back and start work. So he said, "There's no way you'd ever live in Dubai." And I said, "I think it's up to me to decide whether I would or not."
Why did he say that? Because he thought it would be too much of a shock?
He just thought there was no way I could, because he obviously knew his home and he'd seen UK, and he just thought, how could anyone make that journey? So I said, well, I think that's for me to decide, really. And his story, another of his stories, is that I chased him, that I followed him all the way, which is true. So I said, yes, I'm going to come. I would love to meet your family. And then once I've seen Dubai, then we can make our minds up. So I came out to Dubai.
That was 1968?
December 1968. I landed at night after a 12-and-a-half-hour journey. We stopped 3 ways there. And I walked down the steps of the BOA seaplane into sand under my feet.
Wow.
And I shut my eyes and just took a deep breath, and it smelt completely different. It was exotic. The air was warm. I'd left grey, cold Heathrow Airport, and here I was. So these were sort of different, immediate experiences.
Now, some people would have been fearful of that, but you, because of your love of reading, you saw yourself, in a sense, jumping in to an adventure, didn't you?
I was Alice of Arabia. So instead of Alice in Wonderland, I'd gone down this rabbit hole and I'd ended up in this magical place. And it was dark. There were no lights like there are now. So the next morning I woke up and I opened the curtains and I looked out and I could see the sea. It was near to the sea. I could see the sea in the distance. And then a donkey trotted past the window. Now, you know, I didn't need to be in a book. This was real. This is what happened. And so I then got to meet all of my husband's family.
Now, you say that quite casually. I'm imagining all sorts of things might happen. You know, they would have customs that you wouldn't know about. Were they curious of you? Were they fearful? Were they thinking, what the heck has he done?
So I went to meet my future father-in-law. Now, my Arabic was still very limited, and I was not going to say I'm the most beautiful girl in the world. That would not have gone down well. But we got on like a house on fire.
How?
And as human beings, he just loved me, and I loved him. And he was tall. He had had an incredibly hard life, as most people of his age had done, you know, in Dubai and in the Gulf region. And yet there was a huge humanity about him.
Had this wonderful experience, which I guess, to all intents and purposes, was a holiday. At the end of the 2 weeks, what were your thoughts?
So we got engaged. We went
so you
down
persuaded
to the
him, I can do this.
Yes, yeah.
So you had that wonderful moment of meeting the family, being welcomed, getting engaged, getting married, all big things in life. But here you still are, 56 years later. And there's a big difference, isn't there, between coming here on holiday, even today, and moving here. So what was your journey to then make a life for yourself here as opposed to having a wonderful visit?
Things that mattered most to me were children and education and literature. So in that order. So how are we going to ensure that our children and other children get the best that education can offer? The idea in Dubai was, if it's not there, how do we go about filling that gap? And so my husband spoke to the late Sheikh Rashid, who most generously donated the land and the finances to build a school. And the school started.
Was it one of the first schools of its kind?
It was the first of its kind in that it had both an Arabic teacher and an English teacher in each classroom, so that both languages could be honoured and taught. And there are 2 schools still today, or 3 schools, I think. So it continues on its path and educates a huge number of children. But then I was twiddling my thumbs a little bit. And so my husband said, well, what next? And so we co-founded Magrudy's, and it started off as an educational toy shop. I was ignorant of business, even though I'd played shopkeepers as a child. That was my only experience. So I then decided, right, you know, this is a great idea. Let's go for it. I'm someone that you throw into the sea, and I have 2 choices. I'm not going to sink, so I swim. So I then
Did you feel you had a business brain at this point?
I just was one of these ridiculous people that thought, yes, I can do that. I mean, it's ridiculous.
But there's something about here that I think a lot of people feel that, don't they?
So you learn by your mistakes. So to succeed, you have to fail. And I had a lot of failures along the pathways, but I did learn.
And that grew into, along the way, other journeys and, of course, eventually where we are today.
Yes, the Emirates Literature Festival.
And was your aim initially to get Emiratis to come? And how quickly did it become international?
It was international from year 1.
Wow.
Yes, but we always had Arab authors and Emirati authors right from the beginning. And we had big international names right from the very beginning.
Wow.
I think there was an interest, you know, people were intrigued by Dubai and about this part of the world, and many of them had never been here. So that was a sort of a curiosity factor in the early years. And it's just gone from strength to strength.
Isabel embodies so much of what we're learning is the absolute essence of Dubai. She was here at the very beginning. She was one of the first ingredients to be thrown into the melting pot, even before the UAE existed. And then within a couple of years, she saw people coming from all over the world, thriving here, as she has done herself. She's become so successful in her businesses. She has raised 5 children here, and she still has a huge passion of what Dubai can continue to become. Dubai's population is made up of more than 200 different nationalities, which makes it an astonishing mix of languages, cultures, and religions. And somewhere that this cultural mix is most evident is in gastronomy. Dubai has quickly become a global destination for foodies. And with 14 Michelin-starred restaurants, I've come to one of the finest to meet founder and head chef Solomon Haddad.
Born and raised in Dubai of French-Syrian heritage, he achieved his first Michelin star in 2023 and is currently Dubai's youngest chef patron. He prides himself on his diversity of ingredients and mix of influences and flavours from around the world to create what he calls Dubai cuisine.
So, Chef Solomon, it's fantastic to be here. What are you going to make for me today?
So we're going to be serving you the signature dish in Moonrise, which is a pani puri based off of Indian street food. But first, we're going to make our current dessert, which we call Asir Abood, which directly translates to Abood's juice. So Abood is the nickname for Abdullah. So it's a milkshake that's made with vanilla, honey, and mango. And we made the cheesecake version of that. And you're going to be enjoying that first.
Fantastic.
So for me, what's very important is representing the region, but also having a very high degree of excellence in how we do it.
Yeah.
So I'm not interested in in just representing the ingredients of the Middle East or just cooking Middle Eastern food or just cooking Middle Eastern with Japanese ingredients. It has to be excellent. It has to be sharp, it has to be on the dot.
And that's important to you, isn't it? To use local ingredients.
100%. Otherwise, what's the value in what I'm doing? I'm cooking someone else's food, right?
And is this what you call Dubai cuisine?
100%. But we have to move. So, pick the best one.
The best one?
Actually, I
You're
think
trusting me.
Please pick this one.
I'm going to pick that one. It just came to me. I don't know why.
And then we put it on top of the white chocolate sauce, and that's it.
Okay. So you had all these things like the milkshake.
Yeah.
What other things do you have that you bring in?
Every single dish has to have a little bit of that nostalgia. Like one of the hardest dishes to make is a ravioli dish, but it tastes like the fast food pasta we used to eat as kids, So when you're building a cuisine that doesn't exist yet, you don't have 50 years behind you.
No.
So you have to use your memories. And that's the only way to create something genuine.
Because when you go to a restaurant and you see a pudding like this, you'd be thinking, oh, that looks, I don't even know how to approach it. But then when people bite into it, they will instantly have a connection with it, won't
100%.
they? And a memory.
And for those that don't have a connection, it has to still taste insane.
So when did you get into cooking? I'm going to try this at the same time.
There's a way to try it. I hope it's still...
It's perfect.
It's getting soggy. You have to go now. You have to crush right in.
What,
absolutely.
like
but don't break
that?
the plate. One guy broke the plate once.
Okay.
Just go in semi-gently and semi-aggressively, let's say.
Okay. There we go.
There you go.
That was a bit hard.
It was, but it's all good.
Oh, sorry.
And now it's all nicely homogenized. Just go for it.
Okay. I'm going to have
but
a little...
you have to dig to the bottom and get a bit of everything with every bite.
So your idea is that you can't just have one flavor.
No,
all the flavors. You have to make every bite count.
One of our signatures is the flavors mixing in your mouth. So you get immediately you get the acidity of the mango, then you get the crispiness of the tuile, then you get a cold flavor. You don't know what it is. It's the cheesecake, and then as it melts in your mouth, the cheesecake flavor comes out, and then it finishes with the super sweet crumble at the bottom. How good is that?
Phenomenal.
But everything is changing in your mouth. You don't get a consistent flavor. That's very important.
This is amazing.
Thank you so much.
But traditionally, this would come at the end, wouldn't
Yes.
it? I feel like maybe we should go back to the beginning.
Now we
Let's
go to the very, very start. The first bite. Last bite, then first bite. We flipped it on its head.
And when you were growing up, was there food around when you were little, or does that come later that's from all different cultures? Has it always been? Lots of different nationalities that you grew up with and
100%.
tried? Yeah.
100%. So
you're bringing this into you.
Sometimes, people, they call my food fusion. I cannot relate to that comment because I grew up eating Italian food. I grew up eating Indian food, French food, shawarma, whatever. These are all my childhood foods. So when I'm using miso, I'm not using a Japanese ingredient. I'm using my native ingredient.
Dubai ingredient.
Somehow. You know what I mean?
So it's from your history.
Exactly. So my food, I wouldn't say it's fusion. It has the whole world in it, but it's very me. It's very one unified thing.
But also Dubai, in a sense,
Exactly.
has the world in it, doesn't it? So
I
you're
always
representing...
say Moonrise is the culinary manifestation of Dubai. So if it's me, it's Dubai. If it's Dubai, it's me.
You're clearly really passionate about the food you make, about that Dubai melting pot and that whole, exciting vibe that Dubai has with food and with everything. Why is it important for you that Middle Eastern flavor comes through?
Because I want to represent where I come from, right? If my work doesn't say anything about who I am, then what is the value of my work? I actually say this to my guests all the time. If you're good at writing and you just write random things, you're a copywriter. If you're good at writing and you write your story, you're a writer. And it's the exact same thing. If I'm gonna take French food and cook just French food, I'm a copywriter. I'm just like writing something that already exists in my own words. Yeah. If I really try to create our own language, let's say for expressing our cuisine, I think that's very special.
Amazing. So you've got a sphere of this Indian kind of bread, in a sense. And at the bottom layer is chutney, which is pure Suleiman. And then just a little viola.
This is a pineapple gel. So we take pineapples and turn into the juice and turn the juice into the gel.
So the pineapple juice turns into gel, and that is the glue for the flour.
Absolutely. Shall we go? Should we get into how to eat it first?
Yes.
Okay.
Please.
So hold it like that.
Two
and
fingers.
It's going to be a little bit hard, but you have to eat it in one bite.
Hang on, I'm not sure.
That's pani puri.
I'm not sure my mouth is that big, although most people that know me would say it is. Okay.
And when you're eating it, you have to think about one thing, how the flavor changes from acidic to sweet to rich to a bit of that garlic flavor and chili at the end. And exactly that sequence. And once you're done, you'll see that it's true, and I'll tell you why that happens.
Okay.
Cheers.
Cheers.
One bite.
Okay.
You see?
I'm on a journey. Excuse me.
It just keeps on doing that.
It just got the garlic.
And you get a bit of the spicy at the end. I could have added more, but it was good.
That is a whole journey in a mouthful.
That's why it doesn't leave the menu. How good is that? Even every time I have it, I'm like,
it's so extraordinary that you can taste all those different flavors.
So
and they turn over in your mouth. So clever.
And the best thing is the lingering flavor. It just stays there.
Wow.
How good was that?
Could you imagine having something like this anywhere else in the world? Or is there something about Dubai that allows people seeking excellence to thrive?
I think you can do anything anywhere. You can do anything on the moon, right? But again, thinking in this optimistic way, this is something I grew up with because I grew up in Dubai. So it's like a bug, like, this ambition bug, and I got it, And I think that Dubai really put that in everyone's, or the UAE in general, drilled that in everyone's head, like one day we're going to be the best, one day we're going to be the best. And when I think of moonrise, I told you, moonrise is a culinary manifestation of Dubai. So Dubai is moonrise and moonrise is Dubai. When I think of moonrise, one thing that strikes me is how fast moonrise grew in terms of quality of food, plating, taste, this, that. And I always think of how Dubai grew in like 20 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think there's definitely a lot of overlap. Yeah, it's really about putting the right mindset in your society. And I think that they've done that really well.
Suleiman is an impressive young man. I mean, whenever you met him, you think so. But there's something about his passion for injecting Dubai into the food he does, and the energy and the pride and the ambition that you feel could only have been created in Dubai. He just represents that sense of let's do everything, let's do anything, but let's do it well and as well as we can. The huge mix of cultures you can see everywhere you go, in the people like Suleiman, in the architecture, in the food. And it's so special because it's like they welcome new additions, almost seek them out, actually, to weave into the fabric and the tapestry of their traditions too. I can't wait to hear and explore some more unheard stories.
In the next episode, we meet the women who are redefining what it means to be successful in this city.
I found out I was pregnant in the same week. I found out that the board had signed up for me to become CEO.
Oh, no!
So it was a big week.
You kind of had twins on the way that week, didn't you?
I've created a new initiative with my children's books, 1 million children, 1 million books. And the idea and the hope is that I'll be able to read to 1 million children.
I took up my epaulets and I said, this is for you. Hold on to it until you become a pilot and you return it back to me. She cried her eyes out. She was bawling. She's like, yes, I promise I will give it back to you when I become a pilot.
Click subscribe for our weekly episodes, and you can also listen on all podcast platforms.